What a start it's been for the Cubs. 5-0 record after beating the Padres yesterday in spring training. Now, these games mean absolutely nothing, but at the same time, it is fun to win every day. One of the pitchers last year that we hoped would help the Cubs get to the postseason, had his season ended abruptly, is back. Ben Brown. We're going to talk about what he means to the Cubs and the rotation, the start that some of the other Cubs have had, including Michael Busch with a big game. We saw Kyle Tucker a couple of days ago. The Cubs getting set to take on the Dodgers in Tokyo, building towards spring training. It feels like the Cubs are in like week 2 or 3 right now, which is pretty awesome. Let's get this thing started. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thanks for hanging on the Cubs baseball channel. Let's go. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie, Cubs Baseball Channel, and it is great to see all of you guys here today, and ladies, and Cubs fans from all across the world as we talk Cubs baseball on a daily basis. All right, guess who's back? Back again, Ben Brown. Yeah, this was the guy that the Cubs traded David Robertson for, got him from the Padres, and then, brought him up through the system and eventually made his big league debut last year. And we had high hopes for Brown. We could have used him last season, right? As a starter, was really beginning to kind of fit that rotation mold. And then all of a sudden he got hurt and, his season ended abruptly. So let's kind of go through where Ben Brown is. And I'll tell you what, just kind of looking at his day yesterday, it's exciting. For a few reasons. He's one of those players that you were kind of like, okay, what is it going to look like coming back from his injuries last year, including that neck injury? But fastball, 95, 96, had the curveball working, threw some changeups, struck out a batter. He is hoping to contend for a role in the Cubs starting rotation. Now, you look at the Cubs rotation and you're saying to yourself, okay, where would he fit in, right? Shota Imanaga, Justin Steele, Jameson Taillon, Matthew Boyd, Assad's out, Colin Ray, Jordan Wicks, and then Ben Brown, right? Well, something interesting that Jed Hoyer said on the Cubs broadcast a couple of days ago was just how baseball's changed. And it's like, you need way more than 5 guys to get through a season. And he was talking about, hey, skipping guys in the rotation to give them more rest, injuries. There's a lot of factors that are going to cost you starts. And so having a deep rotation is really important. And I think that Ben Brown kind of plays into that. Now, there's a lot of scouts that'll tell you Brown's never going to be a starter, that he's going to be a back end of the bullpen guy, high leverage with the stuff that he has. And who knows, maybe that eventually is going to be where Ben Brown ends up with. But it was great to see him kind of back in that role, doing his thing. He gives the Cubs so much depth as far as starting pitching goes. And you hope that he has a better year than he did a season ago. Last year, remember, he had the left hamstring injury on opening day, but it was June 9th when he had the neck strain and then didn't pitch the rest of the season that killed his year. And look, he was really coming into his own. Remember, 15 appearances, 8 of them starts. He had the 3.58 ERA. And then on May the 28th, the Cubs did something that I thought they shouldn't have done, and that's they pulled him after throwing 7 no-hit innings against Milwaukee. I would have left him in. Now, they worry, okay, well, he pitched, he's going to get hurt if we leave him in there. He got hurt anyway, and he had no-hit stuff that day. Who knows? Maybe he throws a no-hitter and he goes down in history as one of the guys that threw a no-hitter for the Cubs. And you know who they are. I mean, it's not like there's a huge list of them, but you remember, Jake Arrieta threw 2, Ken Holtzman. I mean, you never, ever are forgotten when you throw a no-hitter and especially do it as a member of the Cubs. All right. He is back and obviously hoping, like Jordan Wicks, we talked about him yesterday, And hopefully Javier Assad comes back and kind of contends for that 5th starter spot. But if the Cubs have, and I really feel good about this aspect of the team, is maybe they don't have at the top of the rotation. I still think they could use a right-hander, an ace right-hander to kind of split in between Steele and Imanaga. But even if they don't, they still have a lot of depth in this rotation, and the starting pitching wasn't an issue for the Cubs last year. It was the bullpen. So, we'll see what happens. I'm going to talk about Keller later on in the show. Cubs are 5-0 in spring training, and I broadcast spring training for years. The games don't matter. I mean, we don't even remember like what the record is at the end of the year. What do you get if you win spring training, right? But what I will tell you is that the teams that succeed, a lot of time it's because they have depth. There's good players. And when you go to spring training and you put like a group of guys in, and then you bring in another group of guys, and both groups are good, that's going to help you win. Now, with that said, the Cubs are also trying to get ahead of everyone else as far as their best players, right? But Michael Busch hit a 3-run homer yesterday. Justin Turner had a couple of hits and walked, scored a run. Miguel Amaya had a really good day at the plate, 3 for 4. We saw the speed of Travis Jankowski, who was 2 for 3, and the Padres broadcast. We watched the Padres broadcast. They were like, "Hey, we really like this guy, and he's really fast. Cubs fans are going to like him." Allen, who the Cubs signed, was a Yankee in the past. He had a couple of hits and 2 trips. And then Kevin Alcantara, the Jaguar, was 1 for 3, had an RBI double. So those are some of the players that kind of stuck out in the game. But the Cubs are now 5-0, and you can't really. I don't think you put that down at all. Now, one guy that I thought stood out as far as the Cubs and their bullpen, in an area where the Cubs are really going to need to kind of hit it early if they're going to contend, right, is that bullpen was Brad Keller. Last year was a member of both Sox. He wore both of them, white and red, and this year with the Cubs, right? So 95, 97 on the fastball, had the cutter, the sweeper, was throwing strikes. And then we're a long way from getting there. But he came in and kind of showed you, hey, man, this is what the guy's all about. Tyson Miller pitched, and he couldn't throw a strike. So these are games at the beginning of the year, of spring training year, that don't matter, but it's still nice when you see a guy like that come in and you're like, okay, yeah, this is what we got here, and we saw Ryan Presley, who's going to be the closer, pitch a couple of days ago, so we're getting a feel of these new Cubs and what they bring to the table as this team moves forward, and we get a lot closer every single day to the start of the regular season. And it really is. I mean, when you get into this and you're honest with yourself, this is a spring training that's so much different than other spring trainings, just because in the middle of it, you have 2 games that count against the defending World Series champions. And on top of that, the Cubs, who are trying to win, are depending on this bullpen to step up. Guys like Porter Hodge, who was a rookie last year and ended up being the closer, and Nate Pearson, who the Cubs got in that trade from the Blue Jays and actually pitched really well. Presley, we talked about him, traded the Astros to get him. Cody Poteet, who was the throw-in from the Yankees in that Cody Bellinger sell-off. Eli Morgan. I mean, you're talking about, deals to try to get the bullpen up to par. And then what's going to happen with the guys that don't make the starting rotation? Are they going to AAA? Are they going to go into the bullpen? If you go with the 6-man rotation, for example, then you're going to have less guys to pitch out of the bullpen. So would the Cubs do that? I don't know. I mean, Javier Assad and what he kind of brings to the table gives you the idea, well, maybe you could do that with him. But at the same time, the Cubs are still like, $40+ million under the tax threshold. So maybe there's still a chance that they go out and pull the trigger on another big move between now and the regular season. It might not be the Dodgers series, but it could happen. The money's there. Maybe they're saving it to try to make a play for Kyle Tucker, who looks really good in that Cubs uniform. So it's fun, but at the same time, it's like the season's on us so fast this year, at least those first couple games, that you kind of look at the team and you're like, okay, we don't have a whole lot of room to kind of sit around here and play tiddlywinks. I mean, we got to get going. So the Cubs are back in action today against the Diamondbacks. That's at Sloan, and then tomorrow they'll be in Scottsdale against the Giants. If you ever go to spring training, Cubs and Giants in Scottsdale, circle that and go there. It's a really, really fun place. Cubs play the Angels and then at the Rangers this week. So that's kind of how the schedule sets up. But 2 wins over the Dodgers, a White Sox win, a come-from-behind win against the Rangers, and then they pound the Padres 10-5 to go 5-0. I love it. Look, I don't care if the games count or they don't count. Anytime we sing Go Cubs Go, it's a good day. I know you guys think that too. All right, comment section, keep it coming. Thank you for making our channel part of what you guys do every day. Love you for doing that. Love you for doing that. And remember, man, we'll be following the team. Things to look forward to are really kind of the same thing we were talking about before. It's watching to see where the position battles are going to be. Miguel Amaya, is he going to be the starting catcher? You know what? A lot of people think he is instead of Carson Kelly. He's swinging the bat. Now, it's early spring. The other thing, Kevin Alcantara, the Jaguar, now that they basically gave away Alex Canario, I guess they feel like maybe they're getting about the same thing with options in him. And you couldn't have both guys on the 40-man roster. I think Canario's a better player just because of the power, but Alcantara, for a big guy, kind of has that Dave Winfield ability to make contact. I think he's had a good showing so far this spring. And then the spots in the bullpen, like seeing what Keller looks like and seeing what Presley looks like and how that's going to kind of fit this thing that Craig Counsell's trying to put together. So anyway, we'll be keeping an eye on that. But thanks, guys. Go Cubs. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Like, subscribe, thumbs up.